You know that little snap when a magnet hits your fridge? Ever really thought about it? It feels like, well, like a little bit of magic, right? But it's this invisible force we use all the time. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and see exactly what's going on.
And it all kicks off with this really simple question, but one that people have been asking for ages. Why does a compass always point north? No matter where you are on Earth, that little needle just knows. What's pulling it? And check this out. It's not some special trick just for compasses. See this? Any magnet, like this bar magnet here, if you let it hang freely, it does the exact same thing. It lines itself up perfectly, just like all those compasses. That's a huge clue, right? It tells us there has to be some massive, invisible force out there pushing them all around. So that leads us to our first huge piece of the puzzle. The secret isn't actually in the compass. It's right here, in the ground beneath our feet. Turns out we're living on top of a giant planet-sized magnet. Okay, so here's the deal deep down below us. The Earth's core isn't solid. It's this swirling, super hot ocean of liquid metal. And all of that motion creates these huge electric currents, which, you guessed it, turns our entire planet into one big magnet. This whole effect is called geomagnetism, and it's what creates that massive magnetic field that every single compass needle is trying to line up with. But get this, here's a little mind-bending detail. The north your compass points to, what we call magnetic north, isn't exactly the same as the geographic North Pole, the very top of the globe. The magnetic pole is actually off by a few degrees. And here's the really wild part. It's not fixed. It's actually wandering around, slowly but surely. All right, so now that we know the Earth is a magnet, let's talk about the magnets we use every day. Because as it turns out, they're not all the same. They basically fall into two main camps, the kind that are always on and the kind you can actually switch on and off. So take a look here. On the right, you've got your classic permanent magnet. Its power is just there. It's always on. But on the left, that's an electromagnet. Now, they're both strong enough to pick up all these paper clips, but the way they work is fundamentally different. So what's the big difference? Well, an electromagnet is a magnet on demand. It only works when you're running electricity through it. It's usually made of something like soft iron, which is fantastic at being magnetic, but it's terrible at holding onto it. The second you cut the power, poof, the magnetic force is gone, just like that. Okay, so that makes you wonder, right? If some magnets are temporary, how do we make the permanent ones? The kind that stick to your fridge? Well, it turns out we can actually force certain materials to become magnetic for good. One of the coolest ways to do it is with electricity. It works like this. You take a material that's really good at remembering magnetism, like steel. You pop it inside a coil of wire, and then you zap it with a strong pulse of electric current. This big jolt basically forces all the tiny particles inside the steel to line up in the same direction, giving it a permanent magnetic field. And boom, just like that, what was just a plain steel rod can now pick up paper clips all by itself. See, unlike that soft iron we talked about in the electromagnet, materials like steel, or another one called ferrite, are amazing at holding on to that magnetic charge for a super long time. There's also a much simpler, kind of old school way to do it. It's called the contact method. You just take a strong magnet and stroke a piece of steel, like this needle, over and over again, always in the same direction. It's not as powerful, but doing this can gradually coax its internal structure into alignment and turn it into a weak but real magnet. So, we can make magnets, but does that mean a permanent magnet really lasts forever? Can you break one? Not physically, but can you break its magnetic power? And the simple answer to that is nope, not at all. Even the toughest permanent magnets will eventually lose their juice over time, and there are a few things you can do to really speed up that decay. Yeah, there are pretty much four main enemies of a magnet. First, just plain old time. A magnet will naturally get weaker as it ages. But if you want to ruin one fast, you can use high heat. You can also give it a strong shock, like whacking it with a hammer, or you can expose it to another, even stronger magnetic field. All of these things basically just scramble up that perfect internal alignment we worked so hard to create. And believe me, this stuff makes a huge difference. Look at this. A magnet that could pick up, say, 10 pins might only be able to grab 4 after you've hammered it. Heat it up and, whoa, that drops all the way down to 2. In a strong opposing field, that can almost completely wipe its power out.
It really shows you, right? You gotta be careful with magnets if you want them to stick around.
All right, so now we did it. We know how magnets work, how we can make them, and even how to break them. So let's bring it all home and look at where this incredible invisible force shows up in our everyday lives. And trust me, you're going to be surprised. Magnets are literally the secret ingredient in so much of our tech. The speakers playing your music right now, they use magnets to vibrate and create sound. Those little electric motors and everything from your kids' toys to power tools, all magnets. Even some fancy door locks and the clasps that snap your bag shut, they're all relying on good old magnetic force. And of course, they're in all the obvious places too. Think about the stickers holding up drawings on your fridge, or that satisfying snap when a pencil box closes, or even the flap on your phone cover that holds it shut. Yep, all powered by simple, trusty permanent magnets.
So, when you put it all together, what's the big picture? Well, magnetism isn't just some weird, fun thing. It is a fundamental force of nature. It literally shapes our entire planet, guiding our compasses, and it powers countless little bits of technology that we just couldn't live without. So, from the very core of the Earth to the door of your refrigerator, this invisible force is everywhere, constantly at work. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other amazing invisible forces are out there, hiding in plain sight, shaping our world?